Welcome everybody, welcome to the Tomb of Illumination. This video is in response to this physicist Sabine.
The US and don't really care. Let me mention that the US is the biggest importer of European wine, so you
Now,
should care. But
check out that video. It's total garbage. She might have the winds right, but she's not describing it very well. They keep referring back to the spinning ball. But the silly thing is, they say, oh, the jet stream's going that way because the ball's spinning that way. And then they go, well, the Gulf Stream or something else is going that way because the ball is spinning that way. See? it's just a joke. Straight away she starts with the ball in her hand, the globe, and then they show you a big flat earth model and say, the earth is a globe, it's not flat, blah blah blah. I'm going to break it all down. We'll try to. It's a bit complicated. Because, you know, you have to realise, well, you know the globe's total bullshit, and the spinning effects of the globe is actually the moving of the magnetic field, Earth's magnetic field. And these scientists don't even understand the basics of a magnetic field, the existence of life. You know, they understand nature seeks equilibrium, seeks its resting state. So they know the wind is constantly racing backwards and forwards, counteracting each other, hot seeking cold or cold seeking hot. Yet they don't understand a magnetic field does the same thing. It has to keep flowing because it all found rest, then there'd be no life. There has to be movement, that's what creates life on Earth. The magnetic field moves by the fact there's a 3:2 ratio. The wider, bigger field out south, you can imagine all these individual magnetic cycles, like this. Every one of these cycles is a 3:2 ratio, centered on here, center north. That's one cycle. That's a phi, 3:2. Not that they don't understand what that means. So it's always moving, and it has to move, and it has to have this difference. So, and this difference, it never finds rest because of this, the tropical region, of the place of voidance. And this acts like an AC in the system. It's, what do you call it? Alternating current, because it's going positive, negative, positive, negative. So it comes over the top positive, goes through the earth negative, back up again positive. So we'll use this here, which I normally use as the personal dome of horizon, arc of horizon, but we'll call it a meridian from south all the way to north, right? So there's your north to your south, and there's a tropical zone in between, okay? So the magnetic field avoids this zone. She describes it, the wind avoids this, it does not, they don't cross. The wind and the currents do not cross this zone, because it goes right through the earth. If you seem to understand my videos, it's the avoidance zone. So what happens is the magnetic field is flowing like this. It comes up here, shoot, and down here, then goes through the ground and up here, down here, through the ground, and then up here. That's how the magnetic field flows. Now they know the wind does this too, but they draw the wind as sort of doing this, don't they? And it sort of is the wind, but the magnetic field carries on. And so the wind's coming this way for one minute, next thing it's going back that way. Well, this is what you get in the roaring 40s. Everything breaks down. So you've got this in the tropical gap. So between here and there, you'll have half the size out here. Out here. Unless you get a wind going that way. And this wind here will go around, and, well actually, this is a magnetic field, but the wind will end up going that way too, like that. Where is it? Around here. So you've got the magnetic field swerving away as it approaches the Tropic of Capricorn and Cancer. swerves away, creates more of an arc, a stronger field this way, and that does the same that way, curls around that way like that, okay? But then it spins around to come back the other way. That's what it does. In the roaring 40s, what they call the easterlies and the westerly winds, or roaring 40s, starts going that way. I think that's what they call the Gulf Stream out here. So, you know, you've got that wind, and at a certain height, and if aeroplanes want to use it, they can. Otherwise, they avoid it if they're going in the opposite direction. But if they're going with it, they'll get into it and reduce a bit of flight time. It's all due to this magnetic field and the winds. Nothing to do with the spinning ball. What a joke. Check out that video. It's a flippin' laugh when you understand this model. So let's get on to the recycling of this Earth. This is mainly what the video was about, actually. So the recycling. So I've shown you the magnetic field, how it comes up like this and comes down like that. Well, what's happening at this point here? What's happening? It's bringing all the crap out of the atmosphere and dumping it in these regions here as it hits the ground. What are these regions? Well, basically, on average, they're deserts, sand, dead zones. That's the filtration system. You could say the sand's filtrating all the crap that comes out of the atmosphere. So imagine this is Earth's recycling system, okay? This is a tropical zone in here, the place of avoidance, with magnetic field avoids it. And you've got all this energy here in the magnetic field. You've got to try and think of it as a ring magnet. But they don't even understand this gap on a ring magnet. But it's called the inertial plane, inertial, you know, the dielectric, whatever. Place of avoidance, the place of perfection, the place of rest, or whatever you want to call it. But this is like the totem pole, two sides of the totem pole, and the snake that go, two snakes that go up it. The energy is created in here. You have to understand capacitance, electrical systems, the energy build up here. This is how we get our heat. Not from a flippin' sun out here shining in. No, we get the image of a sun here through the Milky Way. But check out my earlier video. But the heat is created in this magnetic field here, and this helps raise the molecules. The energized hydrogen molecules come up through this way from the subterranean fresh water that's flowed from the Arctic. Subterranean gets to this area underground and it's moving, and that kinetic energy in the molecule causes it to seek out a lower pressure. It's created a high pressure, seeks the low pressure and starts rising through this area here. This is why you get a lot of moisture in the tropics. Nice and green, obviously a lot of water too, thunderstorms and everything because of the hot and cold system going on. It's getting colder up here, and as it gets colder up here, it's expanding, the molecules are expanding. So everything's coming up through here, and this is when it goes through the choke point of the Milky Way possibly, but it all heads back over into this tight magnetic field, which is also wind. So think of the two as one, wind and magnetic field. So you see it as a strong magnetic field, just like we're getting in the new plasma systems now, nuclear fusion, tight magnetic field. Or you can take it as the wind, because the four corners of the wind that merge there and create the right frequency to create Earth, and that's basically what happened. This is why science calls it a big bang, because it hit the right frequency and bang, Earth was created. Just like that. So there's the recycling, okay, so you get this coming down into the ground here, forever recycling back through here. They don't cross over. Wind or jet stream or Gulf Stream, and you've got this coming out of the north, going through the ground, up back through here. So you've probably got rainwater, You've got rainwater as well, which is being filtered out, hitting the ground, being filtered down through the ground. But then risen again. Got all that going on as well. But the main events are here and here. And then up and over into the centre. So it goes over into the centre. And then what do we have? So in the centre Arctic we have what they call the Beaufort Gyre, fresh water. And above you basically got this, right there, up in here. So we're out in this realm here, we're not in the centre here, that's no man's zone, that's the place of inaccessibility, you can't get there, dead centre. So we got our system coming up this way, going up this way, recycling this way, right? This is the Arctic centre. What's this going up to? What's all this going up to? The sun, the real sun, the plasma, the unseen. It's cold fusion, room temperature, but flipping freezing down below here, racing up. You've seen it on videos on YouTube. Dry ice being drawn up to this warm air. So what happens, all this being dragged up here, but this recycling system coming over here is going into the sun. This is all metaphysical, but you have to imagine it all works, it all equates. That goes through the Milky Way into the sun, where it gets purified through the sun, or through this tight magnetic field, and then starts dripping down here as tears or dew, all described in mythological stories. This, which creates this pure water. Some people like to call hydrogenated water, because it's hydrogen molecules being hydrogenated into the Beaufort Gyre. And this is all fresh water, Beaufort Gyre. And what happens in the oceans, like this AMOC. AMOC is the Atlantic Meridian overturning circulation system, where it goes up the Atlantic. It's in the Gulf Stream actually, where the Gulf Stream is in the around Mexico and that sort of thing. But some veer off and goes up into the Arctic basin. Because it's warm water at this point, right? And it's going up to the cold, where it comes along to the centre Arctic and then gets forced down like that and starts going back again. This is how it works, because the fresh water's here, you see. So the salt water sinks, gets flushed back this way. So you have to bear in mind, everything works together like cogs. You can't take one out and expect the thing to work. It's not going to work. So everything marries in with each other. So if you didn't have that, you wouldn't have this. If you didn't have that, you wouldn't have that. You wouldn't have the sun. Nothing. You can't. It all works together. So the salt water sinks. So what have we got? We've got Earth. There's Earth's rotation creating the jet stream, Gulf Stream, LOL. Obviously not, it's the magnetic field. Can the AMOC stop? No, how can it? How can it stop flowing? As long as you've got warm air here and cold air there, it keeps flowing. If you stop the warm air here, then everything would cease to work, nothing would work. You've got to have those counter forces, right? Hot and cold all the time. It's a dual system. The whole Earth is a dual system. So the warm flows to the cold and the cold flows to the hot. Apparently one of them doesn't work, they say, but it must do. So the OMAC and Gulf Stream are slightly different, and they're slightly different because it's circulating and part of it's flowing up towards the Arctic. Is it slowing down? Is this thing slowing down? Would it be a good thing? one scientist says it would be a good thing if it did slow down. It wouldn't because the warm ocean moving north, they say if it slowed down it wouldn't be creating a hotter atmosphere. But that's rubbish. It's always been like that. It has to. Because for that not to go north, it won't be hot and this won't be cold. You know what I mean? The heat is always going to the cold water. The hot water is always going to the cold, flowing into the cold, and the cold coming back to the heat. They work together. You can't take one out of the picture. You get it? Would it be a good thing? So it doesn't make sense. This is to do with their climate change rubbish. It's all bullshit. When you look at the system, the recycling system, you can't alter it. All you can do, because what's happening is it's coming from below ground. It's the recycling of Earth itself, below the ground. The movement, it moves like an auger. And all that movement within the minerals and everything underground, sending up through the moisture and everything, the gas is coming through the oceans, off the land, into the atmosphere. That's the only way climate change is happening. Man cannot alter it because of this cycling system. It's purifying itself all the time. You can make things worse, but it's still going to purify itself in a short matter of time. Just stopped everything. See what I mean? So this is the Buford Guy of fresh water. And they're trying to tell you, if the glaciers melted and made all this fresh water, it would ruin the circulation system. But they're not talking about the flippin' Buford Guy that's been there for millions of years already, because that's part of the system with all that fresh water that creates the circulation, sinks the salt water back this way. It's continuously going like this. They're trying to tell you, if you look it up, all this fresh water is coming off the glaciers, mountains and whatever. Absolute garbage. There's nothing down the Antarctic. It's all to do with the centre here. It's all coming off the sun, dripping down off the sun. It's our purification system. Pure water, mythological stories talk about this area here, keeping people young, because it's all to do with pure water. If you want to be a healthy person, you drink the purest of water. So that's it there. Buford Guy, that's how it all works. See, that's inside the tropics. You got the currents going like this. Understanding the jet streams and everything. Spinning around, wind going that way. Because the magnetic field drags around this way a lot. Compass bearing takes you this way a lot instead of going this way, direct this way. So this is why they tell you live on a ball and the equator is a lot wider than the rest of your ball. Absolute garbage. It's all there. This is all known. They hide everything from you. All the magnetic fields, because it's Edward Halley discovered apparently, but it would have been known for millions of years, thousands of years anyway, way before him. In the 1700s, all the magnetic fields of Earth like this, 11-degree curves. He discovered Halley's Comet, we all know about, but they don't talk about all this stuff here. And he talked about a lot of other stuff, but they don't like to talk about it. They all knew about it 150 years ago, but this modern education, they want to educate it all out of you, so you all think you live on a spinning ball, and NASA created everything. They want your minds. They want your minds. They want full control of that dumb thing that's sitting in your head now. So there you have it. Earth's recycling system. What else can I say? So that can't stop if you've got hot and cold. So let's say all of the ice melted in the Arctic centre. I can't see it myself because that was just... Unless the world was going back to singularity, where it was about to stop and restart again. because that would be singularity. You wouldn't have this dual system anymore, the two hemispheres. As soon as you do away with one ice centre, you've got the ice there and the ice here, you do away with that, you've stopped the dual system recycling system. And the weird thing is, I had a dream, just out of the blue, I don't know where it came from. All of a sudden the centre Arctic landmass came out of the ocean. It was a couple of weeks ago, or a few weeks ago. Out of the blue, I wasn't thinking about it. I'm thinking, wow, maybe that's what happens eventually. Someone's telling me something. Because at the beginning there was land mass there. And maybe we've gone through the cycle now, because we're into the last one now, into the Aquarius. Here, the end of the cycle, where we might just come back and start again. Because the mountain, the Lomonosov Trench, Ridge or whatever, sunk below the ocean. It's even written in ancient philosophy that the cap broke off and that it all went down under the ground. Well, that's the same thing with the human mind. This is basically the human brain. Your pineal gland has gone down and submerged into water. When that comes back up out of water, you pick up a higher frequency. So if that mountain came up back out of the water, we all become enlightened in the golden era? We all wake up consciously, and then after that it sinks down again and we'll go brain dead again. The next cycle of man comes out brain dead again and goes through another cycle. But anyway, whatever happens, the people like the Freemasons and that, or the illuminated people that do come and go, because they come and go. They can come into any cycle of man, and they know about the Freemason club, and they'll just go straight to it and say, hey, yeah, I'm one of your brothers, I'm one of the brothers, blah blah blah. He'll just hook up with the guys again, and they all know that's what their system's all about. It's the Illuminati, the illuminated, illuminated. So if you wake up your third eye, you can go join these guys. But that would be good if it was all a good thing. But there's evil bastards who know all this stuff and they're using it for evil. They're screwing the people over. They're treating you like dummies, because once they wake up, they are way above you. And you are basically their slaves. That's why the Bible talks about slaves. They're not talking about, Negroes, Africans, whatever. They're talking about the unenlightened people working for the enlightened people. That's what it's all about. Bear that in mind. Okay, understanding this. Check it out. You could say that's an obelisk, or the staff, the Jesus cross. Okay, and the two snakes winding around up it. You could say there's the head of the snake, there's the head of the snake, because what's happening, expanding, the molecule's expanding and getting ripped to shreds, and then it goes to the choke point of the Milky Way to create the sun, where you'll get like protons marrying in, creating the sun back in there. So they're both sort of feeding each other, feeding off each other. So the Milky Way is like the umbilical cord from the creator to the created. I've mentioned that a few times in previous videos. So any questions, I can tell you. I mean, I can answer questions quite easily. But getting everything out in a video off the top of my head in one go is pretty tricky. So why you get different climate changes around the world, like she was talking about in this video. Why is London, England a better climate than Boston? It's all to do with land mass, what's coming off the ocean, what's coming off the land. Nothing to do with the flipping ball, spinning ball. Okay? Go and learn all about this. Capacitance, magnetic fields, electrical, engineering. That's like the gap between the two, the rotor and the stator. It's the dielectric, and when it boils down to it, Earth, we are all in the dielectric. we've been created from the dialectic, the place of rest, place of avoidance, the inertial state. Bingo, it's created earth. But because we're the created, we now have our own system in with the created. So we get this system in our created realm. Even some ancient philosophy stories and religious states came from this tropical region. Man came from this tropical region. So when Earth was first created, we probably did, yeah. But then you can go back before that and say, well, yeah, we came from this inertial state, this dielectric. But it makes sense if we all began on this physical world in this tropical zone, because you don't need clothes there. It's flipping nice and warm. Okay, spread the good news, share and like. Share it and subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Cheers guys, thank you.